Today I'm going to show you how the eSMT platform looks like. So as you know, the eSMT platform is a web-based tool, so that means that it's accessed through a browser, and this is the link that I'm going to be using. This is for the test training site, but actually the real eSMT platform is accessed through this link, smtplatform.org. But for the purpose of the demonstration, I'm just going to go back to our testing site. So here, this is the home page. As you can see, there is no much information here. There is a link to the eSMT information site. So if you click on it, another page will open where you can find more information about the eSMT project, the platform. There is a video that you can watch. There is also some testimonials from the users and some materials that you can download. So I will go back to the platform, and here to access the functionalities, the user will have to log in. So I'm going to do that. Click on login, proceed to login. And from here, the login process is different based on the type of email address that the user is having. So in this case, I'm going to log in with my Google account. So I will just click on the Google button. I have different accounts, so I'm going to select the one that I want to use. And right now I have accessed the platform. So here on the left, you can see the name of my country. In this case, we are calling it test country 1. And on the right, there is the user details. So my name, then there is the role that I'm having, which is a store operator. And I can see a store operator of which country and which vaccine store. In this case, I'm at the national store. I can also see my email, and from here I can select the language. So I'm using the platform in English, but I could switch to a different language. And from here, if I'm having more than one role, I could also switch to another one. And I'm going to show you later also the functionalities of the administrator. And for now, we'll start with the store operator. So as a store operator, when I log into the eSMT, the first thing that I'm going to see is what we call here the stock overview. So basically, this is an overview of all the products that I have in my vaccine store. So on the left, I can see the list of items. So I have BCG, Penta, TD, I have some diluents, I have syringes and so on, and the quantity of each item. And I can also see the specific batch numbers by clicking on each one of the items. So for example, if I click here on the BCG, on the right hand side, I can see the 3 different batch numbers that I have for BCG, the expiry dates, VVM stage that I have recorded, and some other information. If I click on the other vaccine, the batch numbers will show there, the expiry dates, and so on. As you can see, there's also some specific alerts. So on this overview, there is 3 different types of alerts. So if the stock balance is below the recommended minimum, the tool will give the store operator an alert. If the VVM stage is different than stage 1 or initial state, the tool will flag an alert as well, or if the expiry date is shorter than 3 months. So this is basically the overview of what I'm having in a store. In addition to this, this is read only. This is just to monitor my supplies, but I can also register transactions, of course, that I have received products or I'm issuing vaccines to another store, for example. So that's why we have these 2 tabs here, which are the arrivals and issuing. So these 2 tabs are very similar. The arrivals is going to be used to record any products that are coming into the store or that we want to add to our stock, and issuing will be used to record any products that are going out of storage. So we start with the arrivals. So when we click here, the first thing that we have is just like an overview of all the transactions that we have done in the past. And we also have the option of registering a new arrival. So the user will just click there, and there is different types of arrivals. There's a normal arrival, we can register emergency arrivals, we can register returns, starting balance, or other type of arrivals. Say, for example, that we are registering our starting balance for the first time. Here we'll have our receipt date that we can change, other reference information, and from here the user will just add a line to arrival. So I can select, for example, that I want to register the opening balance of a specific vaccine. So I get here the list of products that are available in the master list. So let's say that I want to register, for example, hepatitis A vaccine. I can then enter my batch number, I can enter the expiry date, enter the different details of that product, and the quantity that I want to register. In this case, let us say that we want to register 200,000, for example. I need to select the storage location as well. I can select some other information, but it's not mandatory, and then I create the item. From here, I could continue adding some other items if I wanted to, but just for the purpose of the demo, I'm going to finalize this transaction. So this gets now recorded here, and if I go back to the stock overview, you see that this new vaccine has been added to my overview. So I click on Hep A, and here it's telling me I have 200,000 doses of this vaccine, and here I get the details of my product. When I want to issue out supplies, it's a similar process. I just go to the Issuing tab. From here, I can see the list of the issues that I've done in the past. I can click Issue New Stock. Let's say that I have received a requisition from one of my regional stores, so I can select Requisition, today's date, and I get a drop-down menu with the list of regional stores. So let's say that I'm going to issue supplies to regional store 01. And then I can select which products I want to issue out. So let's select, for example, vaccines. The tool will give me a list of the products that I currently have in stock. So let's say that I want to issue out this product I have just registered. I will get the batch number, and automatically, based on the product and the batch number that I have selected, the rest of the information will be automatically registered. So I just need to enter the quantity that I want to issue out. Let's say, for example, I want to issue 50,000. I save this information. From here, if I want to issue some other products, I could keep adding some other lines. If this is the only thing that I want to send, I can just click Finalize. And then this information gets registered here on my list of issues. And if I go back to the stock overview, I can see that now the information on the hepatitis A vaccine has been updated. I had 200,000, now I have 150 because the other 50 I have issued it out. So this is how the user of the eSMT can register the arrivals and the issues, and that information will get updated in the stock overview so the user can keep track of what they have in the store. In addition, or in parallel with the stock management, of course, we need to keep our stock in the storage location in the cold chain equipment. So there is the functionality of registering cold chain equipment as well. So we have this tab called Store Data. So here the store data is where the user can register the list of cold chain equipment that they have in their vaccine store. So here, enter the storage data as per availability. So there is a list of equipment that I have already registered, but basically the functionality is very simple. The user just click Add, select a new equipment category. Let's say, for example, I want to register an ultra-low freezer. I get a list of suppliers. This is based on the WHO pre-qualified suppliers. So from here, I can just select one of them. I select the model, and automatically the eSMT will give me the gross capacity and the net capacity. I can just assign a name to this equipment. Say, for example, this is UCC01. I can specify whether this equipment is functional or non-functional. Let's say it is in working condition, and then I create it. So this product will get added now to my list of equipment in my store. Okay, so we can use the eSMT to manage our stock, and this is associated to our cold chain equipment as well. The other thing that we can do with the eSMT, we can register physical counts and adjustments as well. So based on the arrivals and issues, we will have a specific quantity of product that we are supposed to have in a store. This is what we call our theoretical quantity. So what we can do as users is also to conduct a physical count and adjust the quantity. So let's say that I'm conducting my monthly end of month physical count, for example, of my items. And let's say that this BCG diluent, this specific batch number, this is the quantity that I'm supposed to have in stock, but I have actually counted, and the quantity is different. So I can come here, enter the quantity that I have physically in my stock. So let's say is 4. This is the quantity, and the tool is showing that there is a discrepancy of 20 doses. So in that case, I can select if I want to accept the adjustment. I can recount just to verify. If I'm sure that this is the quantity I'm having, I can just select accept adjustment. 20 doses of diluent missing in physical count. Save, and then if I select count complete, the quantity will be automatically changed here. And if I go back to my stock overview, the quantity of this specific batch number here has been corrected as well. Okay, so this is the functionalities that we have for managing stock. We have seen as well the functionality of registering the cold chain equipment. The final one that we can use as well is the temperature logging. So this is linked to our cold chain equipment. So for each cold chain equipment that we register in the system, the eSMT gives the option to track specific key data points. This is the minimum temperature and the maximum temperature, and the number of low and high temperature alarms. So for the month of September, for example, we can try to register here the minimum temperature. Let's say that it was 0 degrees, so we had 2 low temperature alarms. The maximum was 7. We didn't have any high temperature alarms, so I can now save that information and do the same for each one of the equipment. Based on all this information, all the operational data that the users enter on a daily basis, then at the end of the month, the quarter, the year, we can also generate specific reports. So there is this tab here called reports, where the user can go and generate the information they need. So we have different types of reports. The first type is what we call transactional reports. So this is basically a summary of all the transactions that have been registered in the system. So I'm just going to show you one of them as an example. So if I go to the arrival report, for example, I can select the store for which I want to generate the report. this is important, that the users always have access to the reports of their own stores and the stores below. So I'm the user at the national level. I can generate a report for my own store, or I can generate reports for the lower levels as well. So in this case, I will generate for my own store. I want to see all the arrivals that happen from the 1st of January, for example. So I select the period starting 1st of January. I generate the report. And here I get a list of all the transactions that have happened during the 1st of January and today. From here, I could filter by product if I'm looking for one specific item, for example. I can also filter by batch number, or I could filter by expiry date, VVM stage, or any of the other data. For the issuing reports, physical count, and adjustments is similar. It's just a historic list of the transactions that the user can generate. There's also other types of reports that can be generated, like for example, stock and storage status. This gives an overview of what is the current situation in terms of the stock levels and the storage availability. So let us generate one also just as an example. So I can select my national store. I want to see, for example, the status of the routine vaccines. I generate the report, and from here I can see the number of weeks of stock that I'm having this chart. So for BCG, for example, I have 34 weeks of stock. For Penta, I have 13 weeks of stock. So this can help the user see what is the current situation, not just in number of doses, but how long is the stock going to last. Similarly, they can also have a look at the situation of their storage availability. So here there is some charts that show the occupied and the free volume for each one of the temperature ranges. So for example, for the -20, we can see that we have around 1,300 liters that are occupied by BCG and 2,400 that are still available. For the -70, this is the ultra cold chain equipment that we have just registered a few minutes ago. So at the moment it is completely free. We have 863 liters available. And like that, we can see for each temperature range how much our products are occupying, how much we have available for storage. There's other types of reports that we can generate as well, like for example, for the supply chain for performance, specific indicators to see what is the behavior of our supply chain over time. So I'm going to show you one of those as well for reference. So for example, here I'm going to generate the performance indicators from January up to September. I click generate report, and I have a variety of indicators that I can select. If I want to have a look at, for example, the temperature charts, I can select temperature, and then I get the charts of the temperature records that I have entered for each month and the alarms as well for each one of the equipments that I have registered. I can also monitor cold chain equipment functionality, so percentage functionality, which items were functional or non-functional in each specific month. I can have a look at the wastage rates as well. For example, if I select here TD, I can see there was no wastage for most of the months, with the exception of September, where we had a 4.1% wastage, and the reason for the wastage was expiry. And we can also have a look at the availability of stock and our stock out dates. So here, this chart, the full stock availability, will show per product which products were available during the period, which products were not available at that point during the during the period. And combined with the stockout days, we can see here, for example, TD was not available in January. So if we select TD, we can see that it was we had a stockout for 3 days, and the other 28 days the product was available. So there is a variety of different reports that the users can generate. There's another one which is the stock according to plan, in which the user can compare the minimum and maximum recommended levels with the actual stock levels. So in this case, for example, for BCG, we'll see that the product has been overstocked for the whole period. If we look at Penta, we see that it has been between minimum and maximum, so between recommended levels for most of the period. If we look at TD, we can see it has been like slightly overstocked. So this is how we can generate different reports, different indicators, and so on. I was showing you the reports for the national level, but as I said, there is the possibility of generating reports for the lower levels as well. So if I want to, for example, in this case, include my lower levels, the child stores of the national, in this case, that will be the regional stores, I can generate my report again. And now I can have a look at the temperature records, temperature alerts of the lower levels. In this case, the regional store, there was some alarms there. I can have a look at the cold chain equipment functionality. For example, here I can see regional store 1 and 2 both had some items that were not functional at some point. I could also monitor their wastage rates. In this case, it seems that no wastage has been recorded at the lower levels. We could also review their availability, whether there is any stock out. So we can see regional store 2 had a stock out in the month of March. If we put the mouse on it, we can see which items were out of stock and for how long, the same as regional store 1. And we can also see whether their stock levels are between minimum and maximum or not. So if we select, for example, TD, we can see regional store 1 and 2, they were understocked for the whole period. So this is just like an overview of like the main reports that we can generate. There is some other reports, supply adequacy, cold chain equipment. And basically, it's just to give you like an idea of the kind of monitoring that can be done through the eSMT. Also very important to highlight that all these reports can be exported as Excel or PDF in most cases. So here through the export button. So overall, this is the store operator functionality. As mentioned at the beginning, there is also a different type of user, which is the admin of the platform. So I'm going to show you very briefly how that looks like. So the store operator is the user that registers and like the operational data of the vaccine store, so the cold chain equipment, the transactions, and so on. Then we have the administrators. So the administrators are the users that will be entering the background data which is necessary for the platform to operate. So when I switch to the role of country administrator, you can see here that the functionalities, the menu has changed. So the admins are not associated with any specific store. What they do is to register some of the program data, for example, the master data, the store data, or the users. So the master data, for example, is the list of products that is available in the eSMT. So the administrators of the platform can see the full list of items that we have right now in the eSMT. We have a total of 280 vaccines. This is based on the WHO pre-qualified list, but in a specific country, if there is any products that the administrators want to manage through the system and are not available in this global list, They can also add country-specific vaccines. So these vaccines will become available for the store operators to manage. The administrators can also enter the program data. This is basically the program targets and expectations for each year that are necessary for the tool to make the background calculations of the need. So in this case, we have registered BCG, OPV, this case is duplicated. We have some COVID vaccines, we have TD as routine vaccines, supplementary vaccines, we have NOPV2, and we are also registering vitamin A as associated with the immunization program, for example. The admin will also need to enter other information, like for example, the store hierarchy. So what are the different levels that are going to be used in the SMT? For example, national, regional, and district. And they will enter the hierarchy, which store issues supplies to which store reports to which, and so on. This information can all be imported through an Excel, so it's a bulk upload. It's quite simple. And the admins will also need to enter other things like the population and demographics of the country. This is necessary for the tool to be able to calculate the needs, to calculate the minimum and maximum quantities, and so on. They will also enter, or they can enter, other information like the required storage capacity for the stores. So when the store operator enters the actual capacity, they can compare what I have in a store compared to what is the theoretical requirement that I should have. And also the admins will need to enter the expectations of coverage, stock levels, and lead time, and all the other parameters, as I was saying, that are required for the background calculations. In addition to this, the admins will also be responsible for managing the users of the countries. So from here I can see the list of people that have access to my country, this test country 1. And if I want to give access to someone else, I can also create new users. And as an admin, I could also generate the reports. The list of reports available are exactly the same as for the store operator, and the hierarchy also works in the same way. If I'm at the national level, I can generate reports for my level and also for the lower levels. Someone who is at the region can also generate reports for their own region. Someone who is at the district, for example, can also generate reports, but only for their own district. So this is basically the main functionalities of the SMT, the main functionalities of the store operator and the country administrator. Of course, if you need more detailed demonstration, more specific information, don't hesitate to get in touch with us. So we have the email address for the SMT, which is smt@unicef.org. You can get in touch with us and we can organize a more detailed demo for you. Thank you.